Hey everybody, in this we are still going over our input and output, except this one's a little different because you have to figure out the rule. They didn't give you the rule, they didn't leave a space for the rule, so you've got to figure out what is the rule. And so I went ahead and I highlighted a few. So number 2, number 3, and number 6. I'm going to do with you, and then you're going to do number 1, 4, 5, 7, and 8 by yourself. All right, so let's look at number 2. So R is going to be my input, and I'm gonna go ahead and put that up here so that we know. Set R on each of these is my input, and set S on these is my output. Okay, so what that means is we take our set R, whatever numbers are lined up with set R. So for example, in this one right here, this is set R. Okay, so all of those are in set R, all right? And then a rule happens. Something happened to those set R's that led them to be that set S. Okay, so let's kind of zoom in and let's think about that. So our very first one in set R is the number 2. And something happened. The rule did something to it to make it into 14. Well, let's think about our options. How can I get my 2 to a 14? Well, I have 2 options. I know 2 times 7 is 14. And I also know that 2 plus 12 is 14. So it got bigger from set R to set S. The number got bigger. So I know if it got bigger, I'm either adding or I'm multiplying. Okay? So let's think. I'm not sure which one it is because both are technically doable in this right here, this input and output that we're looking at. So what we need to do is go test it on our next one. So we said we could either do 2 times 7, right? We could either do this 2 times 7 or 2 plus 12. So let's apply that rule to this one right here. Okay? Well, what is 3 times 7? Okay, 21. So that one did work. Okay, let's test our other one. What is 3 plus 12? Well, 3 plus 12 is 15, which does not match that right there. So what that means is, out of these 2, my actual rule would have to be this times 7. Because that is the only rule that is applying to the different input sections. And we can keep trying it. So if we're saying it's times 7, that would mean right here, we're doing 4 times 7. Well, what is 4 times 7? Well, 4 times 7 is 28. So that rule is still applying. So what that means is in this space right here, we would still be doing times 7. So what is 10 times 7? 10 times 7 is 70. So you just filled in that blank. Now let's make our expression. If you remember back on the ones with triangles and rhombuses and hexagons, we just use letters for it, okay? So I started with set R. So I took whatever was in R, and we figured out our rule was times 7. And whenever we took set R and multiplied it by 7, it gave us S. All right. So now let's come on down here and let's look at number 3. Okay, so here is our input right here. Okay, and here is our output. And we're missing the rule. We've got to figure out what the rule is. Okay, well, this one is a little bit trickier because we can't necessarily look at this first one right here to figure it out because that's our missing piece. That's the one we don't know. But it's okay because we can go ahead and go down here and check this one. Okay? So my set R, which is my input, is 60. And I took my 60, my input, and I applied the rule, whatever it is, and it got me to 100. Well, let's think of our ways. It got bigger, so we know it's either multiplication or addition. right? So let's think about how can I get my 60 to 100? Okay, well, I know 60 plus 40 is equivalent to 100, right? Kind of harder to think of what could be the multiplication. So let's test that one. Let's see how that works, okay? So we said 60 plus 40 equals 100. Okay, so if that is the rule for this, then that means I could apply that rule, that plus 100 or plus 40 to all of them. So that would mean 80 plus 40 would be 120, and 90 plus 40 would be 130. Well, let's test it. 80 plus 40. Well, 0 plus 0 is 0. 8 plus 4, that is 12. Put my 2. Push my 100. 1 plus nothing is 1. Well, that checks out. There's that 120. Okay, let's check ourselves. Let's make sure we're really on the right track. So let me take that 90. Okay, and I'm going to add 40 to it. So again, 0 plus 0, that is 0. 9 plus 4. Okay, well, that's 13, so I place the 3, push that 1. Well, nothing else is there, so 130. Well, again, both of these are checking out, which means my expression, my rule, was I took my R, and I added 40 to it, and it gave me my S. Okay, well, now that we know the rule, let's apply it up here to our missing piece. So we're taking our R, which was 30, and we're adding 40 to it. Well, 0 plus 0 is 0. 3 plus 4 is 7. Which means that right here, that 30 plus 40 would be 70. All right, I got one more I want to do with you, and I know this one's a little trickier, okay? Because instead of getting bigger like we've been seeing on these past two, our numbers are instead getting smaller, which can be a little confusing, but no worries. All right? So, just like in these, when things are getting bigger, we multiply or we're adding. When it's getting smaller, we're either dividing or we're subtracting. All right? So let's think. Luckily, we have this whole first thing filled out, so we can start at the very top. So I start with my set R, which is my input, right? My input is 15. And then something's happening to it. My rule is being applied, and it gets to 8. Well, let's think. What could we do? We know it's getting smaller, so we're either dividing or we're subtracting, right? Well, 8 isn't a multiple that goes into 15. It goes into 16, but 15 is less than that. So let's think of our subtraction. 15 minus what is 8? Or, a different way to think, 8 plus what is 7? Oh, I gave it away there. 8 plus 7 is 15. So 15 minus 7 is 8, right? Y'all know me. Okay. Well, let's see if that applies, okay? So if we're saying our rule is this minus 7, that means that 35 minus 7 would be a 28. It would mean 13 minus 7 would be whatever this blank space is, and 120 minus 7 would be that 113. Well, let's try our 35. So 35 minus 7. Well, I can't do 5 minus 7, so I come here. This becomes a 2. This becomes a 15, right? Well, 15 minus 7, so clap at 15. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. Well, 15 minus 7 is 8. Okay, and 2 minus nothing, or that ghost number, that 0, is 2. So 35 minus 7 became 28. Okay, well, our rule is working. Let's check this one just to make sure. So we have 120. We're taking away 7. Okay, well, 0 minus 7. Oh, I can't do that. So I come here. My 2 becomes a 1, and this 0 becomes a 10. 10 minus 3 or 7 is 3. 1 minus nothing is 1. And 1 minus nothing again is 1. Meaning 120 minus 7 is 113. So it checks out. It's following along. So what that means, our expression is we're taking our R, we're following our rule, which was minus 7, and that gives us our S. Okay? So now we got to do it one more time for that 13 minus 7. Okay? Well, 13 minus 7. So if I clap at 13, and I take away 7. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Okay? So 13 minus 7 is 6, which found us that missing part. All right, guys, what I need you to do, go through and on numbers 1, 4, 5, 7, and 8. I want you to put on your detective caps. I want you to be an investigator, and you got to go figure out what is the rule. How are we getting our input, which is our set R's, to our output, which is our set S's?